Welcome back to another Spoilercast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
Coming together to talk about Control. Remedy's 2019's Control.
So if you're looking for that in Google, it's Control Video Game 2019, please, because my word, is it hard to SEOs this game.
Yes.
I was getting all kinds of things about Control relationships, Control mental states,
Control schemes for the game Control.
Yeah. I got my favorite one was Control Functions Encoding, which was my favorite one.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we are here to talk about Remedy's Control, the game, 2019's The Control. If you've never listened to one of our Spoilercasts before, right now is sort of the cutoff point. We're going to be non-stop spoilers starting right after this. So if you haven't played Control, go do so, and then come back and listen to the Spoilercast. If you have listened to our Spoilercast in the past, I have a character sheet open. So we will not make that problem again.
That's cheating. I don't
care.
You need to live with the Talia forgetfulness.
No.
Live with it and live with it for the rest of your life. You
Talia remembers.
Sheet right now.
Talia remembers.
Yes.
Well, thankfully there's only like 4 characters in this game anyway. So,
true.
And Dr. Darling is the best one. So.
Oh, come on. No.
Okay, who's your vote for? Let's break down our sheet here.
Oh, okay. Best
Mine's
character.
just the janitor, straight up.
Yeah. Artie is definitely up there. Is it Pope, the bob cut lady you meet at the beginning?
Oh, Emily Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emily. Yeah.
She's right up there for me.
She's great.
I don't like Marshall because Marshall vanishes and I don't know where she's gone. I'm assuming she's DLC content.
Yeah, she's like, I'll meet you back at the the home base, and you're like, okay, cool. And then like 20 minutes later, she's like, yeah, I got stuff to do. See you later. Like, do you need help? Like, is that sounds important? I'm sort of the director now. Does anyone around here want to tell me anything that you guys are doing?
There's the security head guy, who I don't know the name of, and I'm fine with that. I will live with my forgetfulness. Arish, yes.
Yep.
He's pretty solid.
Great. I do like the jerky mushroom lady in like the basement area who's just like, you're the director? I don't really care. We have a problem.
You keep calling her by her first name, Rebecca, I think it is, and she's like, no, that's Dr. Churchill, thank you.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
All right, Rebecca.
She literally doesn't care that you've got the server's weapon. She's just like, you guys are so focused on this hiss, we have a bigger problem. It's like, wait, everybody is dead and we have a bigger problem?
Yeah, mold people? Does that sound important enough?
An episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. I'm partial to Darling, I think, because number one, his actor is really great, and I like
Alan Wake.
Also Alan Wake, importantly. I think it was really great to see like this stuffy tutorial video stuff at the beginning where it's like, here's an object of power and all that stuff, and seeing not only his descent but also seeing like this little love relationship going on with his 2 assistants that I thought was really great.
Was really good.
My wife had asked me about them too, because she's like, why do they look so awkward in the background? And then you start picking up files later on of them communicating with each other, and you realize that one likes the other one, and the other one doesn't really care.
Like has no idea and doesn't care.
The dude's just like, can we meet up and go over these theories? And she's like, oh, it's okay. Here's all the corrections. I've emailed them back to you. Bye-bye.
Just like, so good. Also, Alan Wake being in the game is definitely a favorite character. Although I think
are we talking about Darling, or are we talking about actual Alan Wake?
No,
actual Alan Wake.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really great to see them put a very explicit nod to saying like, all of this is in the same world, man. Like it's just Alan Wake's here. They took the typewriter, of course. Like that was an object of power. Go figure.
Yep, the light switch was too. Or the clicker was an
the
object
clicker
of power too.
Yep.
The fact that he's referenced as a potential AWE, and the fact that they say he's a possible prime candidate to become director.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to see Alan take over from Jesse.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe that'll be Control 2.
Yes.
The Alan Wake experience.
Alan Wake, Control.
Yes, that's right. Right. The true crossover we've needed.
Mm-hmm. Could just be the FTC West Coast.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
The PNW.
Yeah.
I was, character-wise, I was a little bit disappointed by Dylan, Jesse's brother, as I feel like he never really got to be anything. Like, he was a vessel for the hiss, but I feel like you never really got to see him as Jesse's brother.
Yeah. I think, like, his big thing is he is there to be creepy. And he nails it, because he is creepy.
A lot of red lights and mysterious gibberish.
Yes. I think that my favorite thing about him is, like, his actual collectibles, like, the story of him growing up in that place, and how, like, Darling is, the only person he's really friends with. And then when Darling stops showing up, that's when he starts being a bit iffy with the psychiatrists, and things start going downhill from there.
And man, Darling really trying and, like, believing in Jesse, and that really sort of blowing up in his face.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, it was Darling's idea to do the puppet show.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like
Uncle Mr. Bones.
The Underground Kids or whatever they called them?
Yes.
Yeah, what was it? The
Rift Kids? Not the Rift Kids.
It was something Kids, yeah. I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
Those started creepy and ended extremely creepy.
Yes. But yeah, like, the whole thing is, like, yes, now that we have Redacted on site, which you learn later is obviously Dylan, it's going to be hard for a kid growing up around all these scientists to understand what the hell's going on. So how about we do, like, a little kid show for them? It's like...
Right. The Threshold Kids.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because later on you find a note that one of the scientists is like, well, I did a puppeteer class in college one time, and, you know, I can do this.
It looks so bad. Like, in this, you can see all the glue, and it's the worst in the best way.
Yes.
That's so good. I do have to give special credit to director Trench's voice actor. That guy can...
Funnily enough.
That's right, yeah. That guy can just chew through some lines in just the best way.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they absolutely nailed his casting.
Yeah, he was really great. So we did talk a little bit about the memos. I feel like that is more so than Quantum Break, but probably I feel like it has the same feeling that Alan Wake's letters did, where it's like these are short things that genuinely are really building the world. In Alan Wake, a lot of it was, here are the things that are going to happen, and that sounds terrible when I read them on a page, but Control's memos, I think, by and large, I don't think I read any that were bad.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, my favorite ones is, like, the context for them all, like... all of the different objects of power and the altered items, I think it is, altered items, which is the non-object of power, like...
Right.
Like, I love all of theirs because it just starts looping stuff in, like, from the real world, and it's like, for those of you who don't know about, like, the Korean fan death myth...
Yes.
Like, you read that, you pick that one up, and you're just like, okay, it's a fan, but for those of you who do know that there's, like, I am aware that, like, people in Korea don't have fans in the bedroom because it is believed to kill people.
In a closed room, a fan will kill someone. Yeah.
Yes. And then you pick up that memo, and it's like, yeah, there was one. And it totally sucked all the air out of the room and killed this, like, family of 5 or whatever. And it's like, cool. Thank you for taking something from the real world and just looping it in and giving it an excuse. And they go through the whole rigmarole as well, where it's like, it's a big old-fashioned, like, big circular metal framed, like, like, standing fan. It's like, all that stuff is great to me. Like, looping all of the additional stuff in. Like we said, the Alan Wake stuff as well, like the typewriter, the clicker, like, all of this additional stuff. Like, and it's mostly BS, but it's still great. I want a haunted swan boat.
Yes. Maybe Control 2. Part of what I really liked about the memos is sort of the opposite of that, which is I loved all the AEWs and the altered items and all that stuff, but I really liked the day-to-day stuff that this is still an office. Like, people are still upset about something disappearing from their desk. Someone's upset that they just got like a package of 200 teeth they have to go through. And that guy says, well, that's not so bad. I just had to inventory every part of a giant airplane.
That was funny.
Yeah,
you know
like, suck it up.
Are in an aircraft? I do.
Yeah, like, I like that there's still... I feel like a lot of games miss that, where they still have the bureaucracy, and you still have, like, it's Taco Tuesday in the cafeteria, and someone's going to complain about it. You know, that all that extra world building that... I think the AEW stuff and all of that stuff is incredible, but I think it's really... handled really well by putting both of those things together.
Yeah, adds the humanity in.
Yeah.
Well, I also really like the posters that they had up randomly, where there's one talking about delays caused by house shifts do not count towards overtime.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And there's all that stuff where it's like, you know, like, don't bring in any modern technology. Like, Darling talks about, like, no smartwatches, no smartphones, no any sort of smart technology, because the oldest house will turn that around and use that against you. And I thought there's a lot of signs like that too. I think that's great.
Which is weird too, because they have posters up about that as well, but then they also make mention that they're using 3D printers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so there's got to be some sort of weird maybe they made a 3D printer out of old technology, and that was the workaround for, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
It doesn't really, you just happen, if you're reading the posters like I was, you just happen to come across it, and there's no other, you know, it's never brought up again.
Yeah. Right.
Which I went... because I read a lot of the SCPs, I still do, so I went really deep into just looking at the walls and, you know, reading the posters and trying to see if there was any more tied to anything. And you find some glimpses of other things, like I was talking about with the mold. When you first start, the very first document you pick up is talking about the expense report, and at the very bottom there's something about cleaning up the mold, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's not really hung on or anything, it's just there. I'm like, that seems like an odd thing to call out. And then you start to see posters about don't eat the mold, or, you know, take the mold serious or whatever, and it's like, this seems like something I'm gonna have to take care of myself. And then later on in the game you find out what the mold is, and it's like, yeah, this isn't great.
Yeah. Yeah, it might smell good, but don't eat the mold.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think story-wise, I think the thing that impressed me about Control is, even with all of this stuff, even with the AEWs and all the objects of power and everything, it's a pretty straightforward story. They don't really go too crazy on time travel or metaphysical questions or anything. It's sort of like, there is a problem with the oldest house. The Hiss have invaded. Congratulations, you're the director.
Fix it.
Let's go fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is like, that's my favorite type of thing, is when science or pseudoscience is used without explanations. Like, Quantum Break is a good example of this. The dude builds a time machine. The most important thing you need to know is you walk left to go forwards in time, you walk right to go backwards in time.
Yep,
you
and
don't
it works.
need to know the quantum mechanics and field fluctuations and all that other stuff.
The time is an egg.
Yes, exactly. That's all you need to know. Like, Fringe does this fantastically as well, where Fringe was like, okay, so here is this gas that crystallizes after it's been exposed to the oxygen for a little while, and it turns things into amber. It's like, you literally don't need to know how that gas is made, how it turns into amber.
That's all you need to know. It's not good.
That's all you need to know. And they don't over-explain any of the stuff. Like, I don't need to know why the traffic lights are haunted and why they act the way they do. All I need to know is stop when it goes red.
Yeah. Well, and they even extend that into Polaris, when she's like, I have this thing sort of living in my head, and it kind of helps me out a little bit, and it's been talking a lot more since I got to the Bureau. And it sort of came through from another dimension when I found the sort of the object of power, the carousel, the slide thing. Yeah, the slide projector. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. I can buy that. Great. You have a talking, spooky, like shadowy thing in your head. Why not? Mm-hmm. Everything else is weird in here, so yeah.
And there's also where the hiss comes from too. Like you learn that like the whole thing with the hiss is like Polaris came from one slide, and I think the hiss came from a different one.
Yeah.
It's like great. Alternate dimensions, fine. Don't explain it to me. It's a haunted slide projector, and I'm fine with that.
Well, and I think a lot of the game becomes scarier when you hear a lot of them saying like, all right, we put in one of the slides and we're going to go through this portal, and they're talking about what they see in general terms, and then everybody dies. Mm-hmm. And sort of like, cool. She as a child found something genuinely very terrifying, and each one of those slides is something else terrible.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing as well, is like when you're reading about the slides, like especially I think it's the Jesse's childhood writing that the Bureau have collected, and they're talking about like, oh, there was the quiet world where it was basically just like a playground that they used to go and play in, and it seemed to be fine, except there was no other people around. And then there was, the desert planet with the castle in it, which is I think that was Polaris's one.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, it goes through like all of these different things, and it's like there is random facts in there or factors in there where you can go to this dimension and it's fine. But there was one that they went to, didn't like it, and then left immediately because there was something threatening, and that was the one that had the hiss in it.
Right.
And that's what
they went in there and they saw something, and then it followed them back out.
Yeah. That's how also Dylan knows which is the one to use to allow the hiss to come into the oldest house.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting having that story reveal that Jesse and the other kids burned all of the slides, but one didn't get burned all the way, and it sounded like, I think it was Director Trench had another one, and like someone else had maybe another one. So there was like at least two that were still viable.
I think the two that didn't was Polaris's one and the Hiss's one.
Yeah.
Trench hid the Hiss one, and Darling had Polaris's one, because that's how he makes through. Yeah, that's how he makes the connection with Polaris and starts to slowly but surely bring him into that big huge containment unit.
Yeah. Yeah, and who lets the hiss in? I think it's Trench, right?
It's Trench because of Dylan.
Accidentally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Trench, it's from some of the documents I had read, it sounded like Trench was initially the first one to be infected with the hiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he wanted to lead the expedition into that world himself, along with like a handful of other people.
Yeah. And then he's the only one who comes back, and then he starts doing the whole paranoia thing there against everybody else who's there, and then him and Dylan essentially set it up in that place where you can't go to until the very end of the game, to just keep that thing open and keep letting the hiss through.
Yeah, and that's why Trench kills himself, because he knows the hiss have infected him after a while. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, do we know for sure that Trench was the one that killed himself, or was it the board that had him kill himself? Because they knew he was infected.
I think it was the board. Because
interesting.
Meanwhile, you've got this whole Hiss Polaris battle, Jesse and, Dylan thing. You've also got the board and the former, which is another conflict going on.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite ones, because the board are crazy and the former is weird. The transmissions between like the board and the director are sublimely done.
They're really great.
And then
I was just wondering, because I didn't find any documentation or anything about Trench actually being in control of himself, and I don't, unless you guys had found something, I don't think the game necessarily goes into it. So it was kind of my belief that the reason why he killed himself at the beginning of the game was because the board knew that he was infected, and through the service weapon had him kill himself. That way a new director could come in.
Right, and someone who isn't affected by the hiss.
Yeah. I think there is a throwaway line about he admits to being a traitor.
Okay.
Like it's literally just like a one like throwaway moment where you're just like, yeah, it was me. I am the traitor. They are not the traitors. Like all of these people I've been accusing of being traitors, they are not. It's me. It's my fault. And then it jumps back to the whole start of the game where he pops himself.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, boy, what an intro.
Yes.
What did we think about the ending, I guess? Because I think that seems to be probably the more controversial, or I guess divisive piece of feedback from people, that it does sort of end rather abruptly.
It does.
Yeah.
But I really liked it because, like I said, I'm used to reading SCP, so there's no real conclusion or ending. It's just a continuation of a long thread of a story. So the simple fact that you got some closure on some things, like very little things, and then like absolutely nothing with some of the big hitters, kind of. Yeah, this was how I was expecting the game to end, and I'm happy with that, because me going in, I was kind of expecting it to be that way. So I'm perfectly fine with them never touching anything and just continuing the story.
Yeah, because I think the overall crux of the story is Jessie needs to get this thing under control, and then she can start being director. Like, the oldest house doesn't go away. Like, that will be forever. And like, you're still going to have objects of power and AEWs happening all the time. So, you know, her work is just starting here. But I think the most boring version of the control story is you're building your management team. Like, the board asks you, or like Trench asks you to. It's like, you need to find those people you trust in these different categories. By the end, you do. So now you're ready to do some work.
Yeah. Question, is Polaris alive or dead? Because I still believe Polaris is alive, but only a fragmented part of Polaris in Jessie.
Yeah, I believe what's in her head is still alive, but the actual Polaris is dead.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if anything, it more than likely is just a fragment. And
yeah, like the guiding star exists, but the sun itself is dead.
Yeah, and probably rebuilding Polaris is probably going to be a pretty big part of future control stuff, because we're recording this before the two pieces of DLC come out. The Foundation and AEW are the two titles, at least for right now. But even after this one, it's sort of like, cool, like you really found something special here, I think, with Control. I would really like to see them do another one and just say, you're the director now, here's your management team, we have another set of problems. Like, the director's work is never done.
Yeah.
No.
Excuse me. They could even break it where, like, you could just do like a Control 2 where you're just an agent trying to get AWEs or, you know, items of power.
Right, like out in the field.
That in itself, if you read some of the documentation, that in itself could be a crazy game. Just trying to capture and locate some of this crap.
Yeah. There you go. You have a 90s style point and click adventure investigating a town.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing though, is I love Remedy. It's a known fact at this point that I adore Remedy. They don't do sequels.
Yeah. For better or for worse.
Mm-hmm. So this is something where I'm hoping, because this seems, I don't know how it's selling because digital sales are never really spoken about.
Right.
I know physically it didn't do great, but literally my entire Twitter feed was full of people saying, yo, Control is great, go
Control
play it.
is really great. Yeah. And it seems to have been reviewed and received very well, and I'm expecting it to be part of a considerable number of top 10 lists this year.
Yes.
Sort of across the industry. But yeah, I believe that the initial sales reports are that it's doing well, but it's not. It's obviously not going to sell, you know, the best of the year. That's isn't the level of game that does that, but it seems to be doing well.
Which, I mean, honestly, depending on what they do with the DLC, I'm fine with this being a one-off. And then, depending on what project they release again, years from now, all of a sudden, you just have mentions of Jesse in the background.
Yeah.
It's just some one-off note you happen to pick up in some other Remedy game they made. And it's like, oh, cool, she's still alive.
Yeah, it's like you want to make something totally new and exciting again? I'm 100% there. If you want to make another Control, I'm also 100% there.
Or you just throw in some badass crazy thing where it's like, that seems like an object of power. That's acting really weird. And then nothing was ever mentioned of it in that game again.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I think that it could explain how Max Payne was so good at shooting people. Like, he had an object of power leather trench coat that allowed him to slow down time and see bullets.
That's right.
Like,
who knows?
That should be a collectible in Control. Put that in there, please, Remedy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that at least a memo.
Allows you to slow down time when diving. Weird.
Yeah.
Dude, they had a lot of cool costumes in this game, too.
Yes, they did. I was going to say favorite costume because I love the gambler outfit.
The lucky suit, the gold one. Yeah, that was the first one I wore.
I like that, but the director outfit is just something special.
Director outfit's really good. I got a pre-order one on PS4.
The tactical outfit,
Astral Diver.
Yeah, I got that one.
I didn't get that one.
It's like a really it almost looks like a Mass Effect suit. Like when they go out in space, it's like this very sleek, very like ceramic looking suit, and her hair is sort of tied to the side. It was a really cool, different look.
She's got like EKGs strapped to the side of her head. And...
Yep. Yeah, it was really cool.
Was it EKGs? Cool. I don't remember. I can't remember if that's heart or brain. Whatever.
There was also the outfit for where she's just like wearing a cadet outfit. It's just like sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Yep. Yeah, the P7 candidate. There's the secretary
that's the
one.
The janitor one.
Yep, the janitor one. The asynchronous one I really liked from the Mirror World.
Yep.
I don't know if I got that one.
It's on a dummy when you come back from the Mirror World. Yeah, I happened to come across it by accident. I was like, that looks weird, and I saw that I could look at it, and it just grabbed it for me.
Man, that Mirror World stuff was fun.
It was fun, but that fight was tough.
Yeah, that fight was really tough.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have to get into it. We're gonna obviously. I think we need to end the spoiler cast with because now it's about time we talk about set pieces. I think we end the spoiler cast with the set piece.
The spoiler.
Yes.
Yes. The ashtray maze.
Yes. Favorite non-ashtray set pieces.
Favorite non-ashtray set pieces. The furnace. I think the lighting there was especially cool, and the voice memo you pick up where the lady is hearing the furnace talking to her was really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you guys do the TVs in the furnace stuff?
I threw some stuff in the furnace.
I threw chemicals in there. Yeah.
Chemicals. Yeah.
I found this out while I was looking for something else, but there are 7 TVs in the maintenance area that show something on fire. And if you throw all 7 of those in the furnace, you get the fire mod, which basically gives you infinite ammo. Every time you hit an enemy, it 100% fills your ammo for what you used. Wow. So it's not refilling the whole thing, but it will refill that bullet that you hit with.
Wow, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
Kind of cool. Thank you, Remedy, for the insane references.
Yeah.
Special shout out goes to the traffic light section.
Yeah. Especially for that noise when it goes red and just goes brrr.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, like, I love the clocks. The clocks, like, not the boss fight, because screw that boss fight, but I love the area around that where
it's just like thousands of clocks pouring out of everywhere. It's so good.
My favorite one is the flamingo, the pink flamingo.
Yeah.
Just because of the way it messes with like reality and like, it spins the room around and then it wibbles the floor at you. Like that stuff was just so cool to me. And then
the mannequin did something really cool there too, where it's like you got to find the one, and there's about 100 here, so
yes,
let's start looking.
I always liked whenever you came across mold. And Jessie starts talking to herself. She's like, all right, let's start cleaning up, as she says, cocking her gun.
Yes.
My favorite set piece is the Mirror World because you find that tape in the lab. And
yes.
the agent who spent 3 hours in there is talking backwards.
Yeah, like
and it's really unsettling. And then you go into the mirror world and you find that same tape, and everyone that was talking normal is backwards, and now the agent is speaking normal.
It's
and you
so
find
good.
out what he says. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was really great. I feel like there's nothing that is really bad or boring in the game. I didn't think anything else was super great. I think the boss fight with I've already forgotten the name. The thing with the big eye, and you go in the other world and fight that thing.
Oh, the former.
The former, yeah. That was a pretty hard fight.
And it also had its moments where it just screwed you, because it was like, oh, look, you don't have the ground underneath you anymore. Well, so you're supposed to be shooting up and looking down.
Yeah.
So the last time I fought that thing was with the flamingo, and I had gotten that thing to 0 health. It was starting to fall down, and I fell down a hole. And I threw on levitate, because you can't fly up, but you can slow your descent. And my train of thought was, if I can stay alive long enough for it to die first, I should hopefully get the credit for this. And I died. It respawned everything. It looked like I was going to have to fight him again. And I go back to that same area, and there's just a complete wall. There's no doorway or anything.
Oh, weird.
Like, well, what the heck happened? Does it move, or what? And I looked it up, and then I looked at my inventory and stuff and saw that I had the memo for completing for that. And my quest log went away. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Because that fight sucked. Yeah. So yeah, the ashtray maze is definitely one of 2019's best set pieces, hands down.
2019's best moments, period.
Yeah, because I think the ashtray maze, when you hear about it and you go in the first time, you're like, yeah, it's okay, it's a maze. Like, the walls are moving, you can't find your way through because you have to go talk to the janitor. But like, yeah, cool, it's a maze. But when you get back to it the second time and it is significantly different and significantly cooler, that's really something special.
Yeah. It makes me think of Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like, with the whole shifting walls and everything from Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Along with, like, it's just that thing you see in, like, in this type of fiction where it's just like, oh, by the way, the walls aren't walls, and, like, reality is skewed. It's the hotel fight scene from Inception turned up to like 27 rather than just 11.
Yeah. Here's 400 doors. Thankfully, the right one's gonna open. You got some cool music playing at the same time. Like I like that because you have headphones on, you don't hear the enemies as much because the music is too loud. Like, there's a lot of nice little touches like that.
Yeah.
I like, too, how they throw, like, a crap ton of enemies at you, and then the maze just kind of takes care of them for you.
Yeah,
it gives you, like, this... Off. Yeah, it just gives you, like, this OS moment, I can't take on this many things, and then the maze just takes care of it for you.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I that is definitely the highlight of Control. And it's one of those things that even... we are playing it fairly recently after its release, and within the first 2 days of its release, everyone's like, oh my god, the ashtray maze. It's like, okay, cool. Those are not two words that go together, so I'm not sure if I'm like in a maze of ashtrays or if it's some smoking sort of AEW or whatever, but glad that wasn't spoiled.
I thought everyone just kept saying astral wrong.
No, right.
I thought it was supposed to be the astral maze.
Right, it's like, guys, it's pronounced astral.
Oh, no, it really says ashtray, huh?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there was... Also, I need to probably see more video of this, but I want to see what this game looks like with ray tracing.
Yeah, I don't know if my video card has support for it. Yeah, I'm gonna assume it doesn't, but if it does, then once it gets cheaper, I might have to scoop it up again and play through.
Well, this game does bright brights and dark darks.
Yes. Even without HDR, even without that, it looks really good.
there are points where when you're trying to find hidden locations where it's like everything is just whited out and you can't see anything because it's so bright.
Really great use of reds, something we typically don't see in a lot of games. Just here's a giant hallway and it's incredibly red. Yeah.
I actually have some other small notes.
Sure, yeah, because we're sort of winding down here.
So the thing that I thought was funny in this game are the shelters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you will come across shelters scattered throughout the area, and you will notice that they all say max occupation of 6 people. The very first one that you find is in an office area with 38 desks.
Yep.
So this is like some Vault Tech BS right here.
Yeah.
It's the Titanic all over again.
Yep.
And the fact that the vaults or the shelters don't really seem to help out a lot of people. Like, it was funny because the game kept talking about how they find survivors. And it's like, unless the person was a big name person, I didn't find a single survivor in that game.
Right. Well, they were all floating up.
Yeah.
You know, not really.
Another thing too. Did you guys kill those people that were floating, or did you leave them alone?
Left them alone.
Left them alone, largely.
I think I may have accidentally killed one in just random fights.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was leaving them alone. Even though they talk about how Jesse couldn't cure them or fix them or whatever.
Yeah.
There was always that, thing of, well, maybe one day they can.
Yeah, I don't want to bother them. The only time I interacted with them was one of the hidden areas on top of that one pillar early on. I had to hop on the back of 2 of them to get all the way up there. They were good platforms, but I tried not to hurt them.
Okay.
The other thing that I just wanted to talk about with this game is the AWEs and stuff like that, how they went really in depth with a lot of things. The smoking pram is something that you find a note for, and then eventually you do find it in containment, and if you sit there and look at it for a little bit, you do see a little wisp of smoke coming out of the pram.
Oh, cool.
Which I thought was kind of cool on how they went about doing that.
I love the rubber duck one.
Yep.
Where, like, they're doing the experiment and it's not having any effect on the rubber duck, but then when you play the recording of the experiment back, it starts to show the effect on the rubber duck.
Yep. Quack if you understand me.
I also really liked how the janitor's control point was nothing but brooms, bleach bottles, and wash pans set up to look like the satellite control point.
Yep. It was really good. That was a good touch.
What was the last thing? Oh, the Alan Wake stuff. Later on, once you start flying around, you can get higher up in the containment area.
Yep.
There's an area where you can find one of Alan Wake's pages outside of the containment area. And you pick that up and you read it, and it's an actual page from Alan Wake. But then you get that hollowed out video where you get with like Trench and the doctor, where Alan Wake is pretty much reading to you what's on that page, like it's in the game. So that was pretty cool. And then you find the thermos sitting next to it in the next containment cell. And all kinds of dumb, crazy crap that they threw in there.
I love the way containment looks as well. That big circular room.
The panopticon.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that looks great. Also, apparently I didn't know this, but in American Nightmare, Alan Wake's standalone Xbox Live Arcade kind of game, at the end of the game, over the credits, there is a backmasking track, which is deliberately recorded backwards, basically, rather than accidental things. And it says, "It will happen again in a town called Ordinary."
Right. Yep. I remember reading about that, yeah.
Which is the town that Jesse is from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was just a random thing that I was kind of picking up on, is the only place Jesse's portrait does not show up in is in the boardroom. If you look up, there is 24 portraits up there, and 11 of them are blank, including Jesse's, which just has a yellow piece of fabric over one corner of it. Which I was wondering if maybe once you completed the game, if her portrait shows up there, and it doesn't. So then I was wondering, too, if maybe this is a thing of whenever a director dies or moves on, maybe their portrait shows up there.
Right, yeah.
And then I started digging in a little bit deeper into my mind because I'm just weird like that. And I was like, I wonder if this is going to turn into like a Doctor Who thing where there's only allowed to be 24 directors and then something happens.
Right. The oldest house just goes away.
Yeah. So that was all.
Well, it is bigger on the inside.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Any last thoughts here about Control?
Control is great. Go play Control.
For all of its flaws, it's a really good game. And it's funny because some of the glitches and issues that I had, it would take me a second to try to figure out, is this the game playing or is this a legitimate glitch?
Right. Yeah, Control is great. I'm super happy that Remedy seems to have gotten another hit here, and one without a lot of asterisks, unlike some of their previous games. So Control's great.
Yep.
And thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
7 months down the line.